There's only one type of shot that is guaranteed to end the rally in a loss to you, and that's when you hit the ball into the net. For this week's lesson, we have 5 errors and how to fix them. Let's get into it. Error number 1 that you're making is you're not respecting the most important part of the pickleball court. Now listen, we're all gonna make mistakes when we're playing. You're gonna hit balls out of bounds, you're gonna pop balls up, name it, you're gonna make some mistakes. But most of those other mistakes, other than this disrespecting error, are not 100% guaranteed to end in a loss of the rally. Let's take an out ball, for example. You hit a ball that's like gonna land 6 or 8 feet out of bounds. What happens a lot of times? Your opponent hits that shot. At least you're making them make a decision about whether to hit the shot. So it is not 100% guaranteed that you're gonna lose the rally when you hit a ball that's gonna sail out of bounds. And same thing with the pop-up. Think of how many times you've popped the ball up and your opponent has missed the put-away, or they've hit the put-away and you or your partner have defended it. Again, the pop-up is not 100% guaranteed for you to lose a rally. So while they certainly are mistakes, hitting a ball that's gonna land out of bounds, popping the ball up, hitting a ball where you're not supposed to hit it or where you don't intend to hit it, those are all mistakes. None of those are 100% guaranteed to end the rally in a loss to you. There's only one type of shot that is guaranteed to end the rally in a loss to you, and that's when you hit the ball into the net. My guess is some of you are looking at your phone or your computer right now saying, duh, Tony, I know I'm not supposed to hit the net. What do you want me to do about it? What's your point? My point is that you're not giving the net its due. You're not respecting it nearly enough. Popping the ball up sucks. Hitting the ball out of bounds, not great. But they're not the same as hitting the net. It has a different connotation to it, a different weight to it. If you watch pro players don't get upset when they miss balls like out of bounds and things like that. That doesn't drive them crazy. What drives a pro player crazy is when they leave a ball like a dink or a third or something like that in the net. You need to understand that the net has a greater value to fixing your game than those other things like pop-ups and hitting the balls out of bounds. I'm going to share with you a lesson that I learned during my tennis days. I got to give a shout out and credit to Coach Eric Dobsha for this framing of the net. The way that he explained it was take all of the rallies that you lose and let's put them into 3 different categories or buckets. 1 are winners hit by your opponents. 2 are shots that you hit that end up in the net. And 3 are shots that you hit that end up out of bounds. Now for simplicity, let's give each a third. So a third of the rallies that you lose are winners by your opponents, a third of rallies that you lose are balls in the net, and a third of rallies that you lose are balls that you hit out of bounds. Imagine playing a game where you were able to take those net shots out of play, those net errors out of play. You have reduced your lost rallies by somewhere in the order of a third. I know these are really rough numbers and you can play around with them, but it really gives you a sense of the impact of just removing one part of the game, one part of your losses in a game from the equation. Your opponents can still hit their winners. You can still hit balls out of bounds. Just don't hit balls into the net, and you have roughly a 30% improvement in your play. The way you're going to take the net out of play and give it the respect it deserves is by aiming your shots higher over the net than you do now. My guess is a lot of you watching this are aiming your shots around here, or perhaps not aiming them at all. And we're going to talk about that some more in error number 5 that we're going to cover in this video. But basically, you don't want to aim your shots here close to the net, because here what you're doing is you're risking these little fingers of the net getting involved and your ball landing in the net. Instead, what you want to do is aim higher over the net than you think you should. Now, how high? That depends. What type of shot are you trying to hit? How far are you away from the court? And what's your mechanical proficiency? How far are you away from the net? And what's your mechanical proficiency? Here's a coaching tip for you. The farther back that you are from the net, the higher you're going to aim to clear the net. As you get closer to the net, you can bring it down, but pretty much almost never are you going to want to aim here. If you want a super low-hanging fruit way to improve your results, give the net more respect. Take it out of play on your shots and your results will drastically improve. Error number 2 has to do with too much sidelines, not enough middle. Whenever you're playing pickleball doubles, you have a choice on your putaway shots between going out to the left. Remember, this is from my perspective as the hitter. You can go to the right, over there where the orange corners are, or you can go down the middle. Those are your choices whenever you have a putaway shot in doubles. What happens oftentimes is we get a putaway and we decide to go out toward the sidelines like that, either out to the left or to the right. Whenever we do that, we're risking the sidelines. We're bringing those sidelines into the play. The sidelines now tempt what? The out of bounds, right? We're going to miss balls out of bounds. The middle, on the other hand, has no sidelines to it. Sure, it has the baseline back there, but that's on the entire court. I cannot avoid the baseline. I can, however, avoid those sidelines, avoid the additional out of bounds by hitting more balls to the middle. The solution here is fairly simple. Hit more of your put-away balls down the middle of the court. Less of them out toward the sidelines. Now, this is not to say never to hit a shot out to the sidelines. You can still hit some shots to the sidelines. But my guess is that your ratio right now of shots between middle and sideline is weighted too heavily toward the sideline. You want to flip that around and go more to the middle than to the sidelines. Here's an extra coaching tip for you on going to the middle. Whenever you attack the middle in doubles, you have the possibility for confusion between your opponents. But you'll see oftentimes, you see the opponents have this hesitation in terms of who's supposed to get that ball. You'll see them sometimes clank paddles, but oftentimes you see that ball sail through the middle with nobody reaching for it because they expect the other one to hit it. When you attack the sidelines, there's absolute clarity on which player is responsible for that ball. That clarity does not exist in the middle. So take advantage of that by increasing your attacks in that middle zone. If you enjoy these kind of coaching tips that actually work in your play, get this free strategy guide here that me and the Better Pickleball coaching team developed for you. I'll put a link up here as well as at the end of the video. Get this guide because these tips actually work. Error number 3 is a big one because it has to do with those easy putaways that we miss into the net, or at the other extreme, we miss it out of bounds. Now, what's happening here? Is it that the shot is too difficult? The ball here is giving us trouble? Is that why we're missing those shots? Obviously, that's a rhetorical question because the answer is no. It has nothing to do with the difficulty of the shot itself or the ball. The difficulty here is actually self-imposed. What's beating you when you miss one of those shots is you're actually beating yourself. So the question is, what can we do about it? I like to use baking here to explain the right way to address this problem. Say you get a nice little juicy ball up here. So you get a nice little sitter, like sitting here, right? And all you have to do is put it in the oven at 350 degrees, right? Nice little 350 degree shot, gets the job done. We won the rally. But instead, what we're doing is we're taking it and we're putting it in at 450 degrees. Or worse yet, we're just taking a blowtorch to it and going nuts to hit the ball like that and creating all that extra risk. What you want to do with these shots, don't try and do too much. You get a nice little juicy ball like this, and all it needs is a little 350 degree pop like that. Just use a little 350 degree pop. Use that middle tip that I gave you on the last one, and you're going to be perfectly fine. If you start missing those putaways, ask yourself, is there something I can do to better control my shots? Put it in at 350 degrees? Because my guess is the answer is yes. And if you do that, you'll miss them less times, you'll feel better about your play, and your results are going to improve. Back at the baseline for error number 4, because it has to do with third shot drops and when we start missing this particular shot. Now let's start from this premise. The third shot drop is the hardest shot to hit in pickleball. You're under pressure from your opponents. You're back here at the baseline because of that 2-bounce rule, and you're trying to get the ball to drop into a small area, only 7 foot deep, over a net that's pretty tall when you think about the ratio of net to area that you're trying to drop it into. So you're dealing with a pretty complicated shot to begin with. The difficulty here is that we're adding additional layers of complexity to a shot that's already fairly difficult to execute to begin with. And what I'm referring to here is if you're trying to get that roll kind of third in, right? You're trying to roll your third, or you're trying to get that underspin on your third, you're adding more complexity to your shot, right? And what happens there is your shot will have more variability to it, more variance to it, resulting in more thirds hitting the net, more thirds going out of bounds, and also more thirds going where you don't want them to go into an attackable spot. One example I'll give you on an overly attackable type of third happens to be the roll third. So when you're rolling it, right, you're lifting up on it, trying to get it to drop. What can happen is if you don't have the right brush technique or the right timing, you end up lifting it like that. So you end up lifting the ball into an attackable zone. Pretty common mistake that we see on players trying to roll their thirds. What you want to do is, in these situations, is simplify your third. So you're out there playing and you're trying to roll your thirds or underspin your thirds, and you're not getting them in successfully. Consider going to a more flat third, just a nice open paddle, flat type of third to get your rhythm, because a missed third is of no use to you. A flat third or a neutral third, at least the ball's in play and you have possibilities. I could regale you with personal stories as a senior professional player of using flat shots, including flat thirds, successfully in games against very good opponents. But instead, why don't we look at some pro footage where you can see how the pros use flat shot technique in their play, because they understand that a ball that's in play, that ball that's alive, is a lot more valuable than trying to hit a super sophisticated, complicated shot and potentially missing it. If you enjoy learning from the best in the game, and I don't just mean the best coaches in the game, the best players in the game, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get notified of great breakdowns just like this one, where you break down the top players in the game for you to learn from. Our fifth and final error has to do with not having sufficient mental clarity on our shots. Now, I know we may not always feel this way, but we actually, all of us, have the most powerful processing unit ever developed right up here between our ears. The problem is, for a lot of us, a lot of times, we don't give it enough instructions on what it is that we want. Because your brain wants for you what you want for yourself. It just doesn't know what that is. So if you get better at giving your brain clear instructions, you increase the chances of getting the results that you're looking for. I'm going to share with you a technique that we use in our coaching through visualization to help players gain more consistency with their shots by providing their brain with clear instructions. And it has to do with painting a line through in space and putting that into your brain. Now, it's giving a clear instruction to your mind of the exact shot that you're looking for. Now, the shot that you're hitting will have three different pieces to it. Piece number one is where you're making contact with the ball, the point of contact. Piece number three, or area number three, is where you're aiming. So in this case, it'll be that orange cone there. That is where we want the ball to land in this shot. And area number two has to do with where we want the ball to clear the net. So once you have your point of contact, you have where you want the ball to go, and you have your space over the net, you give your brain a clear instruction through a line. That was a line of the shot. That's the clearest instruction that you can give your brain on the shot that you're looking for. By providing your brain that clear instruction, there's no confusion, no misunderstanding on the exact shot that you want. By providing your brain with clear instructions on where you want your balls to go, you minimize the chance for mistake, as well as increase the chances that the ball will actually go where you want it to. Speaking of clarity, get your free strategy guide, continue to learn more about pickleball, and I'll see you next time. Be well.